Okay, let's get started. So Shelly and Dale, once again, Cheryl Thompson with Ingram Micro, Senior Technology Consultant. I support the West Coast and my counterpart, Mark Miller, who supports the East Coast. We are bringing to you the IBM Storage Defender, the newest product from IBM, and here to give us the details of the product and how you can position it in the market space. We have Shelly Harrigan and also Dale Hobler. Shelly?
Okay. All right. Well, I'll start out. Thank you, Cheryl, very much, and welcome to everyone. My name is Shelly Harrigan. I'm the global sales leader for several things, including Storage Defender. And so we welcome you to this opportunity for some business partner enablement, some Q&A, and thanks to Ingram for hosting us. So I'll get started, and then I'm joined by Dale Hubler, and when it's his turn, I'll have him introduce himself so you get a full view of Dale. All right, so let's hop in. Let's set the stage. And the stage really is about resilience, right? That's the stage. I think we can all 100% understand and agree that data is under threat. We read every day about it. We see stories about it. Everything is occurring all at once. There's ransomware. Even under ransomware, customers who pay, 26% of them don't get all their data back, even if they pay. So this is a top of mind kind of conversation for our customers, and therefore it's top of mind in all that we do. So that pretty much explains that. I mean, if we think about ransomware attacks, right? 83%, more than one ransomware attack in the past year. Look at the average cost. Can customers afford those ransomware attack costs? So many pay the data, but not as many recover. So it really does become a dilemma, and it really is a highlight of a storage conversation right now about how do we reduce the days of an attack in related downtime? How do we recover, right? So that really does sort of set the stage for us. So let's jump in. And here's really, in my opinion, the money conversation. We in storage have spent decades. Our customers have spent decades planning for, protecting, testing, putting rigor and policy around disaster recovery. That's just part of who we are. It's in our DNA. If we're in storage, if anybody that works in storage understands and has a plan for a disaster. However, the probability of such is actually quite low. So should we not focus also our time on what actually is more probable? A cyber recovery is more probable, needing to do a cyber recovery, much more probable than a disaster recovery. And what we're finding is that a lot of our customers, the ones we talk to in storage admins, storage managers, they're not really considering, some of them, a cyber recovery as part of their job. They sort of view that as security, some of them. So eventually security defenses absolutely must be there, but eventually something will break through. And then all of a sudden it sits right with us. What do we do? How do we recover? To be fully resilient, a data resilient solution needs to cover both. So we see customers trying to put more rigor, more testing, more framework around what's really probably going to happen, which is a cyber situation. How do they recover from that? And we have some data points that really sort of portray that discussion. The average amount of time, and these vary all the time, right? Because all new data is coming in, but the average amount of time a bad actor is in a customer's data is now averaging more than 200 days. They're lurking, they're waiting, and the longer they lurk and the longer they wait, the more opportunity we have for some of the backups to roll off, and now all of a sudden the new backups are infected and the customer doesn't know that. These things become really critical. And so a cyber recovery and a cyber incident now is not just about preventing, but it's also recovering, because you know it's going to happen. It's no longer if, it's when. And that really has sparked the conversation now to higher and higher levels. So that's really kind of what we're trying to solve here. So if we look at the capability steps to data resilience, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen these, okay? We know that customers sort of need to take a phase to get to where they are. Whether that's an understanding of the foundational security and data protection, QRadar, Guardium, you've got, your CISOs doing the work here, predicting, preventing, all of those kinds of things are there. And then you can layer on top of that other pieces, right? Like immutability, the recoverable data points. On when you get up higher, the discovery, the scanning, and the more scanning, and we definitely have to scan, right? And recovery and automation. And the goal here is to create recovery in minutes to hours instead of days to weeks. Now, a good friend of mine and IBM distinguished engineer, Brian Sherman, he tells an interesting story of his conversation with a customer, which I was privy to, where the customer said, our security team is going to work on this. We're okay. We've got a DR plan. We know what we're doing. We're okay. We're just going to recover from backup. That's what we're going to do. We're going to recover everything from backup. And the question was, well, do you have your data classified? Do you know what needs to come back first? No. We're just going to do it all at once. We're just going to do it. So Brian did the math for them. And unfortunately, based on bandwidth and the amount of data, the simple math said it was going to take them over 50 days. And that was quite a shock for the storage admins. That was quite a shock. And they understood then, okay, wait a minute, this really is a thing, right? This really is our issue and our problem. So a lot of customers get this, but some don't. And we really feel it's important that everybody kind of get that. So if we run underneath these steps and we start looking at the capabilities that customers need to have a full data resilience conversation, right? That kind of breaks down into some capabilities, right? Just to be simple. So at the bottom, of course, we have the cybersecurity stuff, the SIEM and the SOAR and all that preventing and detecting and responding. But again, we know stuff gets through. Also at that base layer, we all know and have forever been doing data protection and data copies. But the one thing that maybe isn't quite being done is classification, compliance, risk, business impact. Sometimes it's done, sometimes it's not. We also need to take the step into immutability, the data isolation, the physical and logical air gapping, things like safeguard and copy, all of those things living in that second step. And you're seeing a lot of customers get on the bandwagon with those, right? But you have to kind of keep going up and up this stair step. Data integrity, the machine learning and the scanning and the testing and the more scanning and the anomaly detection, right? You got to minimize those false positives, but you got to be able to find those anomalies because the bad actors are lurking, right? And they leave little trails, but you have to figure out how to see those trails. And that's not something you can do manually. The other thing I think that's critically important here is understanding minimum viable company versus full company. So customers need to understand what's the minimum viable company. What are the fastest things that have to come back? Those are typically going to be short-term retention. Those are typically going to be on array. I had a customer tell us that they were very good about doing this minimum viable company and they had an incident and everything came up fantastic. But the one thing they forgot to put in the minimum viable company definition was the log on credentialing process. So all the systems were up, but nobody could log on. So we got to be careful about making sure we get it all. And then full company. These are things that can take a little bit longer. Okay. It's okay to have these take days or weeks. It's okay for that because not everything has to necessarily come back at one time. So the goal here again is trying to figure out how to make the minimum viable company instead of days to weeks to be hours to days and to take the full company from what most customers are experiencing now from days to weeks to months sometimes and cut that way down as well. So we're really trying to shift the speed at which customers can recover. And the way that we do that is with orchestration and simplicity and integration. And by the way, when something gets through and it's detected in an anomaly and we do some scanning and we realize there's something there, we got to remember to feed that back to the cybersecurity team. Hey, this made it through. Put your defenses up for this, right? And it has to be a full and complete circle. So you might ask yourself, all right, well, tell me, what can Defender do here? Well, Defender is all about these pieces here. The orchestration, the helping understand the minimum viable company and the full company, all of these things. So think about Storage Defender as a holistic visibility and setting up a coordinated response, proactive planning, whether that's existing infrastructure, backup and security, and maybe the customers don't have some of this and they need to get some pieces to fill in some gaps. Okay, so think about Defender as a series of capabilities. And let me say that IBM is taking a unique approach to this in that we understand that no one company, no one vendor can provide all of it, right? Some customers have things from different vendors. So we're taking a unique approach to say, right, we want to also partner, right, with those industry leaders out in the market to say, all right, if we're going to have a master dashboard, if we're going to have a holistic visibility and a set of coordinated responses, then we have to work with others as well. So we like to call that resilience as a team sport, right? So you'll see more of that as we go. So think of Defender as automation, right? Recovery, discovery, okay? All the things that you would expect, secure and simplicity and protection. Now, I want to point out on here the color coding, because this is going to go back to our steps. And we talk about where are these things located in the steps of capability. And the other thing you'll soon be able to see is we are now producing roadmaps for all the products and pieces that fit into those stair steps. And the plan is to sort of display those in that same stair step method. Okay, so if you want to know what's happening from a immutability conversation, right, you might want to know what's happening in the flash, and we're going to want to put them in that stair step and that same color. So you're going to see this color scheme and you're going to see these stair steps a lot. Right? Okay, so why is Storage Defender relevant? Well, quite honestly, like we said, you got to think about both data protection and security as foundational, right? We have an enormous amount of new regulations coming into effect for operation resiliency. Now, where those are taking hold first is in Europe. In Europe now, they have things like DORA coming on board, and companies are going to have to comply with DORA regulations if they're in certain industries, or their leaders will be held personally responsible. We have insurance companies across parts of the globe that will no longer insure a company from ransomware attack or help them with that if they don't prove to the insurance company that they have a plan for resiliency. So it's becoming more prominent, and you're starting to see regulators get involved. And I think those will circle the globe, just like GDPR did. Those kinds of things will circle the globe and certainly hit us here as well. And remember, cyber recovery probability is higher than disaster recovery. So we absolutely want to make sure this is the conversation. And when we talk about Defender, and I'm going to have you, Dell's going to take over in a couple of minutes and talk about that. But you need to think about Defender as a series of capabilities and orchestration and pieces to help the customers tick the boxes on all that they need. And so when we start talking about licensing in a little bit toward the end of the call, we're going to want to talk about capabilities, not like a big old suite of stuff, as an example. Okay, so Dell's going to take you through this in a little bit more detail, but I want you to get the sense of, we're trying to look at both primary and secondary workloads, on array and off array type of So in other words, on array, short-term data retention and backup, and frame that in the terms of recovery so that we can get a full clean restore. So you got to figure out, a customer can no longer live with the siloed approach that most of them have taken so far. Okay. You can't be having an incident and your backup and recovery guy at the customer is on vacation in Aruba and you can't get a hold of him. These things need to be orchestrated and coordinated. And you got to think about that end-to-end resilience capability, monitoring and protecting, et cetera, as we go. So let's go back to our colors. I want to introduce to you what we call, well, internally, I like the name, so we'll just do it anyway. Internally, this screen really is kind of called Dragon. You'll notice that the single control plane plan, so this is, and you're going to see a demo here shortly of some pieces of that, where this might be their cup of coffee screen. You know, how's it going? Do we see any threats? Are things red? Maybe we don't want to see the screen. Maybe we need to make sure we get threats and issues sent to emails and to pagers and to text messages, and we do all that. So we're looking at creating a unified management for data resiliency across all storage platforms, ours or others, and across data sources and apps. And that's the idea of that single control plane, right? So maximizing the ROI on their existing investments. We're going to simplify the procurement of software for the pieces that they're missing that they need, and that single control plane. Okay, so you've probably seen this before. I hope you've seen this before. And now we're going to drill down a bit. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to turn it over to my very good friend, Del, and he's going to take over for a little bit, and I'll be back in a few minutes.
Thank you, Shelley, very much. Let's go ahead and see if I can share the screen, see if it's going to work. So the first question is, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Are you seeing a black panel, which Shelley labeled as Dragon? Are we looking at that?
Yes.
Fantastic. All right. Well, first of all, guys, thanks very much for sitting in today and listening to us talk about Storage Defender. As Shelley mentioned, my name is Del Hubler. I've been in data protection for decades now. One of the original developers on Spectrum Protect, TSM, ADSM, in product management for about 8 years, and now I'm out in the field helping customers build cyber resilient infrastructures, right? So Shelley talked about all the problems that these bad guys are doing to our clients' data. My job is to help our clients move to a stronger cyber posture. And I'm, in my 30 plus years at IBM, I'm not as excited now as I've ever been. I'm more excited now as I've ever been in regards to this offering, primarily because number one is we're fighting a real battle out there and we're doing really important stuff here. Number two is we've got a solid product and a foundation of which you guys already know about, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And thirdly, we're doing something nobody else is doing. And what I'm going to do is show you a demo of a simulated ransomware attack and the vision of how we see Defender coming out. I'll then go into, well, what do I have in Defender today? What's coming? And everything in between. And then Shelley's going to talk about licensing so that you guys are armed with what you need to go fight the battles out there. So as Shelley mentioned, this is sort of, the Dragon panel, which gives you the daily cup of coffee on, hey, I logged in, I'm looking at my panel, what happened over the last 30 days, some stuff that needs my attention. But when a ransomware attack hits, you don't want to have to go check a panel or a dashboard. And as Shelley talked about, you want the message brought to you and where you are. So let's go ahead and simulate attack. So here we've got Isaac, who worked for acme.com. And he's just working happily along in Microsoft Teams in this case. As Shelley said, it could be a text message to your phone. Maybe you're working in Slack, maybe some other tool for communications where you spend most of your time. The idea here is we're going to interrupt you to let you know, breaking news, flash, something's going on in the system. The faster you can respond to this and take care of it, the less amount of time it has to start spreading and cause widespread data loss, exfiltration, et cetera, et cetera. So in this case, Isaac got a message directly into Teams that said, Defender has noticed a possible malware attack. Now, where did Defender figure this out? So Defender is going to take feeds, messages in from various locations, products, SIM source systems, scanners, et cetera. But you think about it like this. We are collecting data points or signals, whatever you want to call it, from various places that are collated into this single place. And then we're able to have a bunch of information in front of our eyes to make the smartest decision. So in this case, Defender has noticed a potential malware in the system. So Isaac can go in there and quickly take a look at, well, what's going on here? So Defender has already figured out, okay, which application is affected? Does it affect data as well? And yes, in this case, it's an Austin car inventory system. It's actually, we've detected the malware in both the database and the object storage. And we actually can crack this open and take a closer look immediately. So Defender has taken the various signals, as I mentioned, the various streams of data coming from front ends like QRadar or CrowdStrike or Splunk, Mandiant, all these other ones, and also taking a look at maybe the scanning that is being done in an automated way in the back end with a Defender, whether it's a backup or a snapshot, and it's put those all collectively together. So Isaac can come to this one place and sees immediately what applications and systems were impacted by this ransomware event. The other thing to notice here, Shelley talked about classification of data. Two very important reasons why doing classification of your data ahead of time. Number one is we actually can look and see that this particular application, the Austin car inventory system, is deemed as company critical and minimum viable company operation, meaning I have to stop the assembly line now because I'm not doing business. I'm losing thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars for every hour that I'm down. So immediately Isaac can take a look at this, get with his security teams, get with his infrastructure teams, get with his storage teams, and sees I've got a database corruption. We did a scan on the back end. We see that it's a Oracle database. It's got some sort of fingerprint, some sort of anomaly. And secondly, we also got a QRadar came in and told us that there was an IP address that was accessed from outside the normal parameters of who accesses this database. So two very important critical informations normally separated in different pillars, as Shelley talked about, brought collectively together. So now Isaac can immediately take a look, and the other thing that the classification of data enabled us to do is put this recovery plan in place. So again, the details of the recovery plan, not important for this demo, but the idea is that we've got a very detailed run book or playbook. Should this application be affected? Who needs to get notified? Where do I need to go get the best copy of data? Can I clean a copy of data? All of this kind of stuff that would take hours, if not days, to do manually. We've got this digitized in a flowchart form. So immediately, within 10 or 15 minutes, Isaac has taken a look at all the data that's given to him in this interface, talked to the appropriate people, and has decided, I'm going to go ahead and initiate the recovery because this inventory system is down. I need to clean the malware. I need to get it out of there and get the operations back up and running and the assembly line going. So Isaac has kicked off the recovery, and now we see the recovery trail here. It's identified a good copy of the data, and it's immediately begun the restoration. Again, a human being's involved making some key decisions, whether it's cooperation with a forensics team, the IT team, the database team, et cetera. Appropriate signals have gone out, messages to let people know what's going on. And then we kicked off the recovery. Now the application is back up and running within a couple hours here versus a couple of possible days. And so now we can actually go back to the recovery plan and take a look at the audit trail of the exact decisions that were made in the automation. Again, orchestration, automation, very expensive to do manually, much better when it's digitized and operationalized and executed in an orchestrated and automated way. So That is the quick high-level demo of what the vision of Defender is doing. Yes, it brings in the elements of things like classification of data, integration with Siemens source systems, being able to take snapshots, clean those, scan those, clean rooms, bringing all of that together into that single operational dashboard. So let me go ahead and stop the sharing on this. I don't know, I see something in the chat. Shelley, any questions so far? If anybody's got any questions, feel free to come off mute and ask them. Otherwise, I'll continue with the presentation.
Nothing in the chat so far. Keep going.
All right, fantastic. So now, Shelley, Dell, all this stuff sounds great. You know, what did you guys release a few weeks ago, and what can I leverage today versus, you know, some of the stuff that you just showed and what's coming soon? So number one today, and Shelley's going to go over some more details on exactly the licensing and how that works, et cetera, et cetera. But today, we are bringing into this offering a number of the capabilities you already know about, right? And I have a slide to show you that in just a moment. So it's, again, protection of your data from both a primary perspective to meet those high intense RTOs from your primary workloads, as well as backups and moving it to cost-efficient levels of storage for both short-term operational recovery as well as long-term data retention. Again, things like Storage Protect. And we have a new player in the game here, and we'll talk about that in a minute. A new component capability that you guys are going to love. Secondly, subscription-based licensing. I'm not going to go into that, but Shelley will go into that in more detail. A new SaaS control plane, right? Super cool. Very much where the world's going with SaaS. And we can show you that if we have any time at the end. I can actually show you what that looks like. And then finally, a new component, new set of capabilities that we brought in around VMware specifically. And let's make no mistakes about it. IBM and Cohesity partnered together, and we brought in some great technology from Cohesity and put that within our Defender offering. Gives us some really cool things, which I'm going to show you about in just a minute. Now, coming soon is some of that really cool demo stuff, the Dragon stuff that I showed you, talking about the full end-to-end recovery orchestration in the panel, the SIM-SOAR integration east-west, the integrated data classification. So something like a big ID, customers with big ID, they want to hook their already classified data into the system so we don't have to do it in two places. Vulnerability dashboard and more. But so here's a delineation at a high level of some of the stuff that you can actually sell today and leverage today, and then what's coming soon. So what are the capabilities that come with Defender? The products on the left, we try to get out of the discussion on product X, product Y, product Z, but inherently, you guys are very familiar with the products that IBM offers. We're pulling those capabilities into Defender. So we start talking about capabilities and what it can provide and the outcomes that it provides. But as you see of the products on the left, a lot of products you already know and love and sell, and our customers are leveraging. We're building on that technology to provide this into a single cohesive offering, which is the Defender piece, right? And Shelley will go into exactly what that looks like. Now, the one item on this list that you may not recognize is the one at the bottom, Defender Data Protect and Replica. Now, we're going to go into a little bit more details on that and what that's going to bring to us. But first, let's take a closer look at that flow chart that Shelley showed you in regards to your workloads. Ultimately, we are a recovery product as fast as possible, avoiding to pay ransomware, helping offset the costs that the bad guys are really leveraging on our clients. So number one, Shelley talked about the need to recover data very, very quickly. I can't wait for hours sometimes, or days for sure, to recover my most critical operations. Think of an Epic database for a healthcare system of patients that are in the hospital. If I had to wait a day to get that system back, if it was corrupted, people could die. I mean, serious stuff happens, right? And then doing that with things like immutable copies of snapshot data, so I can instantly recover those as quickly as possible. The other thing to point out here on primary workloads, if you didn't see the announcement, inline data corruption detection. So we have the ability now without having to use ransomware, fingerprinting, et cetera, to look at workload patterns and detect anomalies with great precision right when the data is on the primary storage, right? So super cool. I don't have the time to go into the details on that, but that's a new piece of our flash systems that you can leverage now. But that secure immutable snapshot gives you the ability to recover super quickly, and we need to be able to scan those copies. Think about day zero attacks, being able to recover them super quickly. So again, on array storage snapshots, quick RTOs, but we need to detect problems, bad data in there. We need multiple copies of those for DR and CR purposes. We need clean rooms because forensic teams have rules now to be able to recover to a clean room first. And then, of course, automating this stuff is key. Having to do this and run through this manually can take a lot of effort. Now, what are the capabilities within Defender that affect the primary? Of course, you've got storage virtualized. Put any storage you want underneath virtualized. We can get these great capabilities, immutable snapshots, ability to detect ransomware in there underneath virtualized. Copy Services Manager, for those that know, being able to manage and create hardware snapshots and orchestrate recoveries. Sentinel, deep level scanning for your Epic databases, your Oracle databases, your HANA databases. So again, these are the capabilities within Defender that give you the primary, the capabilities around the primary storage. Now, the need for backups are not gone, right? A lot of people said, oh, I just have hardware snapshots. I don't need backups anymore. No, you need backups, right? There are multiple attack vectors, multiple attack points. I had a customer tell me yesterday, our primary storage got attacked. If I didn't have a backup, I would have been out of luck. So there's many attack vectors that the bad guys can get after. The other thing is that you can't put everything on a hardware snapshot. It's way too expensive to create exabytes of data we'd love to sell it to you and to our clients, but we just, the cost pieces around that are not feasible. So backups are needed for multiple reasons. Now, the backups, guess what? They need detection of anomalies. They need detection of ransomware hits. We need multiple copies on various levels of storage, the 321100 rule of data backup, recovery testing, and automation. So again, the data as it flows from initial landing spot all the way until it expires out, we know how to create copies of it. We know how to scan it. We know how to bring it up in clean rooms. The key of this, of course, is orchestrating an automation around this. Now, the capabilities within Defender that you know and love for secondary are the ones listed here with the storage suite, the TDPs, the storage protect from containers. What's that, Dell? That is the capability within Defender that effectively brings you the ability to do data protection for containers. Underneath the covers, it's leveraging the same technology as our Fusion offering that does data protection for containers. Archive, and then of course this new player in the table here, data protect and replica, which I'm going to actually talk to you a little bit more in detail now. So let's do that. So first of all, web-based portal to manage your data protection. So here is your single pane of glass to connect to all of your data your data protect and data replica instantiations. You can also integrate your launch out to your protect server. So you have a single pane of glass here, a single dashboard pulling in all the data from your various sites on-prem, in the cloud, data protect servers or clusters, and your storage protect servers, right? So again, single launch point to all your data protection servers. Now, what does data protect and replica bring to our story? Number one, again, no mistakes here. This is not secret. We work closely with Cohesity to bring in some technology that they have to do very high speed and fully functional VMware data protection. Lightning fast recovery, the ability to do massive VM level restores. We typically do a demo of a 200 VM restore in minutes, literally minutes. The way that and I'm going to talk about how the data protect clusters are set up are such that we can do high speed recoveries off of them, as well as the ability to do run the VMs in a production with production level speeds from the backup, from the cluster infrastructure. Super cool, helps meet the needs for these ransomware events that can protect dozens or hundreds of VMs at a time. Critical for being able to keep the customer's business up and running. Single pane of glass management. The other cool thing about this piece is I can do a Google type search for any VM, any file across my entire estate, assuming I have the right authority, of course, because you've got the full security to the core with RBAC and Worm and MFA, all that sort of stuff. Again, we talk about VMware. This component also can do other workloads. I won't go into those details on this call. We have some material for you guys to take a look at later. But again, all based on secure to the core. And you can see some of the other workloads, it's not comprehensive. We have some material being created right now to help you guys understand that in more deep fashion. Now, very busy screen right here in front of you, but how do you deploy that data protect capability or component within Defender? So number one, if you're familiar with Cohesity, we follow their model is there's a set of servers that are certified on the left-hand side, Hewlett Packard, Cisco, Dell, Fujitsu, Lenovo, Intel, and Supermicro, that meet a set of capabilities, whether it's based on basically a throughput workload or a capacity workload. Some of those terms may not totally resonate right now, but we've got some education for you. But we have a bunch of choices here that can be leveraged depending on the particular use case, the speeds and feeds, the workloads that are running. The other thing to note is at the bottom of the screen, we have an IBM appliance in the works. So if a customer prefers to buy their appliances from IBM, they can do that. Okay, moving to the next slide. So a lot of questions that we get sometimes is, how can I, as a partner, demo this for a client? And the second one is, hey, this thing looks really cool. How can I get this set up in my lab? So the answers to both of these are, stay tuned. Don't go far away. If you have a near-term opportunity where you could help sell, especially some of that data protect stuff, come find us. We can help you get connected and do a demo for a client. We have ways, and we're doing that today. By the way, ton of interest out there. I'm talking about Defender, and customers are super interested in this, and we're demoing this stuff on a regular basis. Now, how can I get this set up in my lab? Again, we are getting a portal set up specifically for our partners to be able to get their own instance, to be able to launch out from that web portal and get their virtual cluster set up so they can do some demos. So stay tuned. Coming soon. It's being aggressively worked on right now, but we're super excited about it. Okay, Shelly, if you'd like, I'll continue to, you just tell me when to move the slides, but that's what I want to talk about.
You got it. All right. So let's talk about some licensing basics, because you're going to have some questions, I suspect. So the first thing to know is that Defender itself is a new subscription license model. It's based on resource units, and those resource units are defined for each capability. So that great chart that Dell had, that he showed a couple times, that was blue, that had, here are the capabilities, right? These are products, right? These are the capabilities. Each of those will have a set of RUs. And I'm going to show you in a second how to configure those, because we've given you a groovy tool to do that with. Okay, so the next point is, this is not a bundle or a suite. Our customers complain a lot because maybe they already have some of these capabilities, maybe from another vendor or something like that. And so therefore they may not need all the pieces. So they can pick and choose. So I've had people call this like a credit license or a wallet. Those of us in the US, I like to think about it like when my mom used to send me to the county fair with a roll of tickets. You know, 6 tickets for the Ferris wheel and 6 tickets for something else. So license for specific capabilities desired. All right. So the next one is, now, if a customer has perpetual license models in play already for some of these things, they don't have to switch to the Defender subscription model. They don't have to do that. They can upgrade to that if they want that Defender subscription model. If that's something that meets their needs and they want to do that, you can upgrade from those existing perpetuals to the Defender licensing model. You can do that, but you don't have to. So this is the old adage of, Don't confuse licensing with implementing. Okay, so so they can keep that if they want. If they have Storage Protect today and it's a perpetual license and they're happy with that, that's fantastic. It'll still work with all these things. Now, however, there are 3 pieces that are new, and because they are new, they are only available in that subscription license. So the subscription license has to be used for the Defender Data Protect, the Defender Replica, and the Storage Protect for containers. So it's okay to have some perpetual for things like Protect or Virtualize for our favorite SBC customers. Those can stay perpetual if you want, or they can be upgraded into this model. But if they also want to use Data Protect, Replica, or containers, that's going to have to come through the Defender model, and it's okay to have both of those. All right. So the next topic is there's the SaaS license. So there is a SaaS license for the data management service, that control plane. That is 1 RU per instance. Okay. You do need that for Data Protect and Replica. You do need to have that. So that's a SaaS license for that. And all of the Defender licensing is in PPA through SQL, right? So it's all there. So let's take a little bit of a deeper dive. So think about this like a toolbox, right? So there's your toolbox and you decide what tools go in your toolbox. Okay, oop, we went way too far. Back. One more, go forward. Okay, one more. There. Sorry about that, Del. Okay, so here's a couple things to know in terms of the parts and the order process and badging and stuff. First of all, the current data resilience badge qualifies you for Defender incentives and all of that. And the badge will be updated periodically as capabilities are added. I did want to make one note. Defender is not yet in Value Seller. Because it's brand new, it takes a while to get history, sales history, and discounting history. So eventually that will become part of Value Seller. But you have to, as you know, get a little time and data under the belt to do that. But other than that, that current data resilience badge will qualify you into here for your deal registrations and stuff. Here's a list of parts, just in case you wanted it on a screen somewhere. There they are, okay, including the upgrade parts. And for Data Protect and Replica quoting, you need to size the environment, okay? So just like Protect, Storage Protect, there, you know, how you size the environment and, you know, front end, back end, you know, how do you size it? You will need to size the environment for the Data Protect and Replica. Again, no secret, that's our partnership with Cohesity. There is a Data Protect and Replica sizing tool. However, at the moment, this sizing tool lives on a restricted portal, and we're trying to get a plan to where we can get partners through that and into that tool directly. That's going to take us a tiny little bit of time. So in the meantime, if you want to do a sizing for Data Protect and Replica, we've set up a project office. There are about 16 people monitoring that, and they will help you with a sizing. Also, if you're connected with an IBM technical seller that has access to that portal, they can help you do that as well. So I know that's not ideal, and we will figure out a way to create something where we can push through to get to that restricted portal so that you can do your very own sizings. In the meantime, hang with us, reach out to your technical sellers or the project office, and we'll help you get those sizings done. Now, for all orders, please use the sales configurator. And I'm going to show you that in just a second. We have a sales configurator for the licensing pieces, and it'll help there from being any kind of math errors or things forgotten. So I'll show you that in a second. Here's the last thing to know. Because of the way this license is structured, you will have to file a declaration form on which capabilities this stack of RUs you're selling goes to. 10 RUs go to this capability, 5 RUs goes to this capability. You know, you're going to have to declare. Okay, that's a declaration form. It's out there. It's on Seismic, and and it's very simple, and I'll show you a trick on to do that. Also, each order of the data management service, that SaaS piece, requires a provisioning form, and that is out there as well. Those orders will get held up if you don't have those. So let's look at this fancy, cool configurator. So
Hey,
first of all, this is simple.
Shelley,
Yes.
real quick, Dell, if you can go back to the previous slide. I just wanted to clarify the first bullet.
Yes.
The badging is not required for deal registration. What
No.
that does is provides the opportunity for the proficiency incentive.
Oh,
So
you're right. I said that wrong. You're absolutely right, Jeff. That was my mistake. That's all the incentive, the proficiency incentives that gives you. Correct. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so here's our cool sales configurator. If you've ever done any kind of cloud packs, you may have seen this before. So let's click through that. So here's the screen and we go to Storage Defender. It's very simple to use. You'll be able to click on the right-hand side on the components that you want, okay? And then after you do that, you'll see some boxes tick up. So what happens is it'll build you the pieces, parts that you want. And then you can scroll over to the colored blocks, and then you can adjust the amount of terabytes that you need, and that'll come up. And I'm going to want all of you to go play with this to take a look at it, and that'll give you your summary. So these are just screenshots, but definitely want you to go play with it and get familiar with it. And we'll have some specific conversation about that as well. Also, you'll need to do the storage as a service one. So your data management service, that's going to be a quantity of 1 for each instance. So you'll need to do both the on-prem and the SaaS deployment. So you'll have 2 pieces there, and it'll add it all up. Then what you'll do after that is you can export that. You can export to for an SQO export. So it'll have all the part numbers and things that you need for everything you just configured. And you also should export out to a spreadsheet, and that will help you fill out the declaration form because it'll have everything listed, and you'll just be able to cut and paste that directly into that declaration form. So definitely do exports, and that way you'll have 2 things that'll prepared for your order. So I would love for you to go out there, take a look at it. If there's anything confusing or anything at all, you can absolutely hit me up. You can ask your favorite, sales leader. You can talk to Dell, any of us. If you see something that you think could be better, speak up. But hopefully this will help you with this configurator, this sales configurator. I hope that'll help you order. Okay, let's go to the next. Now, let's take an exact example, okay? And some of these things, let's assume we want a brand new customer and we want 50 terabytes of Protect Suite, and that's going to be back end, by the way, in this case. 75 terabytes of Data Protect, 75 terabytes of the new Replica, and 100 terabytes of Sentinel. Let's just say we want those things. We don't want anything else right now. We just want those. So here comes Protect Suite, and Protect Suite is tiered. So go ahead and click again, Dell. So Protect Suite is tiered. So the number of RUs depends. In this case, the first 50 terabytes are at the lower tier. So that's 17 RUs per terabyte for that, because that's in the lowest tier. Let's look at Data Protect. So Data Protect, that's 14 RUs per terabyte. That's back end, by the way. And Replica, which is next, is 6. So you just add them up. The configurator does all this for you. And then finally, what about Sentinel? Well, we want to put Sentinel in there. And one more click, we don't want to forget the data management service. So if I add all of those up, you can see how many RUs that takes. Okay, so that's resource units, all right, 2,651. The list price per RU is 120 US. And so there's your example at a list price, okay? So this is your wallet. Right, so this is what you've configured. That's just a quick example. Obviously, each product or capability in there has a little bit of a different metric, and it will all work that out for you. Okay.
And just sorry, one thing I want to add, Shelley, I know that's a question we get asked quite often on that previous slide, is you do have the ability to add Protect Suite in Defender as front end or as back end. So you have a choice. Also for Defender Data Protect, that capacity is back-end post global dedupe and compression. So if you think about it, I mean, from the customer's perspective, they're getting very valuable terabytes as part of Defender because each terabyte they buy is post dedupe and compression as it's included in Defender,
Right.
which
Which is
cohesive
why,
might be.
yeah, which is exactly why you need to do the sizer. So that
Yeah.
sizer for Data Protect and Replica will factor in the dedupe and the compression pieces. So you definitely want to do that. And the RUs you'll put in here are what the sizer has told you to put in, right? The terabytes. Does that make sense to everybody? Super. Thanks for the ad, Raj. Appreciate it. Okay. So the last thing is that we want to talk about, and then we can have a couple of minutes for questions if we want. Very simply is this. What's the call to action? To me, the call to action is helping a customer evaluate their posture in terms of cyber resiliency. So we are doubling down and tripling down on the importance of a cyber resiliency assessment. So when you go into a customer and you do the first part of the pitch that I did that says, okay, what are your gaps? Mr. Customer, Miss Customer, what are your gaps? And the way to know that is to say, how about we do a cyber resilience assessment, right? This cyber resilience assessment is incredibly valuable. I think some of you have done these before, but it's a vendor agnostic evaluation. There's no charge for this. Helps the customer, gives a customer report on their strengths and weaknesses from their cyber resilience posture. Right. So what I'm going into with a 1-2 punch, in my opinion, is making sure they understand the importance, which was my first hit. And then I always then say, let's evaluate your posture. Where are you on your cyber resilience posture? Let us help you with an assessment, right? Partners, you guys do this as well. And that helps them understand what components are missing. And that narrows down the conversation on how to get them together. Okay, so you guys hopefully have all seen the deliverables. We call this the CRAT, although I think that's a terrible name, but it's a cyber resilience assessment tool because we do like to acronym everything, as you know. And this gives them a measure of where they need, to look at, right? What's their assessment? How does it look at? What does their asset mixture look like, right? Where are they on the scale? And this helps customers visually respond to that. Also, in terms of assets, there's a bunch of assets out there for you. And we do have weekly office hours that partners can sign up for by just popping me an email. We're just doing it the casual way. There's a second page of all new assets as well. There's a whole bunch of stuff out there. There's some blog posts. Sam Warner did a couple of interviews. There's a Forbes article. There's all kinds of LinkedIn stuff. Nobody should look for me on LinkedIn because there's pictures of me in a mask and a cape. It's just concerning. There's all kinds of great stuff. And I really would like to share you at the bottom here, our friend Ian Shave did a new Data Resilience Simply Explained in 3.5 minutes. It's a great video, and I absolutely encourage you to take a look at that. So you'll be able to get to all of those assets. Okay.
Hey,
And
Shelley.
then finally, yes, go ahead.
No, sorry, go ahead. Finish it up.
Yeah. Do you want to go back?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to say, and finally, on the last piece here, right, we make a joke about who can you call. There's a lot of us you can call. I threw the worldwide leaders on here, but the Americas have some great leaders as well, including Del Hubler and including Raj Tandon. So Raj and Del are America's resources, and we're very, very happy to have them. And of course, at the end of every call, everybody makes me put on my mask and my cape. So I'll do it because that's become a thing now. So I have it. And if you are one of the first partners to sell something, I'm happy to send you one of these as well. So get your cape on, right? Get your mask on, and let's suit up. There you go. That's it.
Hey, Shelley, we have a question from Mike in the chat. He says,
Sure.
if the customer doesn't get the dedupe and compression that the sizer assumes, does IBM keep the customer whole?
An excellent question. So the question is do we have a guarantee there? That's a good question. That's a good question. I don't know what that guarantee looks like. Let's see if we have that. Dell, have we ever talked
Yeah,
about?
I've seen the question before. I don't think there's a way to do the guarantee. The sizer is always never going to be perfect because different workloads are different. And different workloads dedupe differently and compress differently depending on data. I think there's a true up or a settlement. Now, it's the tools we're using are the ones for the data protect and replica that Cohesity has built, and there's been 10 years of real data that's gone into that. So the indications are that we have that they're very accurate. As far as whether they're off and need to make slight adjustments, that probably comes up at true up time.
You know what? We'll take that forward.
Also, I think, sorry,
Go ahead,
Shelley, I
Raj.
was going to add, we are going to get as accurate of the results as the data inputted into the tool, right? So we will do our best to capture as much as we can. If the customer provides us details about their workload and daily change rate, and is it compressed at source or not? I mean, what's the retention? So we take all of those into account. However, I mean, realistically, some customers might say, I can tell this to you about my workload A, B, and C, but about D, E, and F, I'm not really too sure myself because that's managed by the other team. I'm going to make my best guess. Well, based on that best guess, the tool is doing its best to come up with what the sizing looks like, right? So that's kind of how we view it.
Mhm. All right. I'll also take that back and see if there's a plan to do like what we do with FlashWatch, right? FlashWatch guarantees and stuff. I haven't heard that. We've been running to try to get this into the market and into your hands. And so we'll keep working on that, Michael. That was a really good question. Okay, Dell, if you want to stop sharing, maybe we can see if anybody's got any kinds of questions. You guys were pretty quiet. So
I love the mask and the cape. It looks awesome.
thank you. Thank you. It's become a thing. It started as a joke and now it's a thing. And I don't even know what to say about it. I'm just,
I love it.
all right.
Love it.
So,
Mark, do we have the wheel to spin, or are there any questions out there from the business partners?
If you do have any questions, feel free to come off of mute. I'm having a little trouble with the wheel here, but we will take the attendee list and shove it in there and spin it. I just don't have it set up live at the moment.
Okay, no worries. We'll let the winner know. So we have one participant will win a $500 voucher back to their business partner. And so Mark will spin the wheel and let that person know who he or she is, and we'll get that information over to you. So if there aren't any questions, I want to thank Shelley and thank Dale for presenting to the Ingram Micro Business Partner channel. And we really appreciate getting the details of Storage Defender and how to price it and license it. That was very interesting because I've already had questions on it. So thank you so much for providing that information to us.
you bet. Happy to help, and licensing is my game, I swear. Right.
Thank you,
Okay,
Storage
great. Thank you so
Defender.
much.
Thanks,
Take
guys.
care.
Thank you, everybody.
So much,
Take
everybody.
care.
Bye-bye.